I genuinely wish that I knew these 5 things before I started my own voice AI implementation agency. I'm going to go over 5 main pillars in this video, and all I ask for you guys is obviously to subscribe down below, show some love, and obviously in return, you're going to get a lot of value from my end. Now, going across the 5 main pillars, we're going to be talking about how automation will make or break you, pricing your services correctly. Not all clients are a good fit. You need to know or have someone that knows how to use API and create SOPs. Now, I'm going to go into detail with all these and my experience basically throughout the entire year of me making build outs for people with voice AI, of course, and give you guys my knowledge on it. So let's get straight onto it. The first thing is automation will make or break you. Now, to highlight negative impacts of not knowing automations, obviously, as you guys may already know, if you're experienced with voice AI, you are going to have to include automations for the voice AI to be doing things. So for example, if you want the voice AI to send out a text message at the start of a call or at the end of the call, or maybe even during a call, you will need to know how to use automation to be able to do that. You'll need to know how to send a webhook over to an automation to create those if else actions to then make the action happen. So as you guys already know, it's not as simple to do that. So some people go off and they try to find somebody. It could either be an implementation agency or it could just be a VA on Fiverr or Upwork, wherever it is, without them actually knowing what they're doing. So if you are aiming to be a voice AI implementation agency, I'm telling you this right now, you need to know how to do your workflows. If you don't know how to do your own automations, you will not be as successful as you may think you'll be. Even if you rely on somebody that does know, eventually they might take advantage of you, or essentially you won't have the resources possible to even know if you're doing it right or not, which is not something you want to do as a CEO. So first off, the first thing you're going to want to do is learn automations yourself. Watch all of my videos. I have a lot of videos on automation. Watch those, learn about automation, and then if you would like to hire developers or VAs to be able to do this for you, you're going to be able to do it like that. And we'll get on touch a little bit of that on the teaching side later in the video. Next, we're going to talk about the next pillar, which is pricing your services correctly. Now, there are so many alternatives to price your services. It really depends on you. What I have seen work best for me is do a 3-month upfront, but then again, a per project basis is also a very good method that I could use. My most successful one is a per project basis where the client is basically paying me 3 months upfront, and with that amount, I'm able to service them for 3 months, and then again, they don't have to pay me monthly, they don't have to do any of that. It's as soon as it's 50% upfront, 50 at the end. It's the fairest thing to do for obviously your client and yourself. Now, with this method, I am capable of running multiple projects at the same time. I'm not having to track people by using, monthly recurring methods, which is going to be an alternative, but for an implementation agency, it's not really the most useful. It's not really the most impactful if you really think about it, just because you have to be on them on monthly payments and so on and so forth, which is not really something that's healthy for the relationship between you and your clients. Then again, it also causes a lot of stress. I've done it pretty much all. I've tried small subscriptions. I've tried big subscriptions. I've tried the per project basis. So basically the best thing that you can do is the per project from what I've been able to figure out on my end. Now, it all depends on you. This is generally something that you may already have in place or may not. I'm giving you my general feedback of what I have seen happen to me in my own business. Then again, that should be it for pillar 2. Now we're going into pillar number 3, which is not all clients are a good fit. Some clients will be very hard to work with. Some clients will be very easy to work with. I'm sure you already know this. However, with voice AI, it goes to an extreme. For example, if they don't want it exactly, if somebody wants it exactly how they want it, obviously you have to get it to the point with voice AI to be able to do that. But they also need to understand that voice AI is nearly 2 years old already. It's just getting it's basically in its baby steps, if you really think about it. So it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to perform perfect. It's not going to do everything perfectly at the first try, really. You have to teach it. You have to be really good to get it to that perfect state. But then again, it's still voice AI. Our voice AI providers haven't even perfected voice AI yet. We're only in the beginning stages. Like I mentioned, baby steps. Your clients need to know this. They need to know that it's going to work to an extent for now, right? Because it keeps getting better and better and better. But as we go, they know that they're making an investment in getting to the point where right now it's going to be really good, but it's not going to be perfect. However, in the future, it will be perfect. And the clients that understand that are usually the best clients that you can have. Not to mention, of course, if for the amount that you work is also compensated for the amount that you want in terms of money, obviously that is also a good client. It really just depends, but it is generally up to you in your point of view on what makes a good and a bad client and how much you can deal with them. All right. So then again, this more or less sums up what I have experienced with a good client and a bad client. Please, this is one of the most important ones. So just keep that in mind, that if you let bad clients paying you a very small amount for a large amount of work run all over you, you're not going to be able to scale to 10K a month, 20K a month, and over that. Okay. So cut off the bad clients and then make sure that you keep the most valuable clients close to you, so that way you're able to scale to the point you want to be at. You don't want to get stuck in growth. All right. Now, this leads me to my last pillar, API. You yourself need to know how to use API, or you need somebody else that needs to know how to use API. If you do not have this person, or if you do not have this knowledge, then you do want to make sure that you start acquiring it when jumping into voice AI, because there are so many things that you need to know with API to be successful inside of this industry. Okay. So one of the things being post, get, put, and patch. Obviously, I'm going to be making videos on these. These are basically methods that you can use with API calling that allow you to update data inside of a CRM, gather data from the CRM, and obviously post data inside of the CRM. Whatever it is you want to do, this is basically how all automations run. They run off of API calls. So you want to make sure that you know how to use them for your voice AIs. Like, for example, if I wanted to book in a meeting with a better method than what another provider uses, then you want to make sure that you have that method set in place with your own API call. In Synthflow, for example, which is what I personally love to use, you have to make your own API call to be able to make that calendar, and then obviously get the calendar slots and then book it after in an automation to be able to have it set up perfectly inside of the call. That's just one of the methods. Another method is even gathering information from a CRM before the call even starts using API, and it gathers the person's phone number from the person that we're calling, and then it gets all of their information inside of the CRM, usually GoHighLevel, and is able to gather, their email, their first and last name, their last call that you could use inside the call, and so on and so forth. You just want to make sure that you know how to use API, because if you do not, it is going to be hell for you. You need to know how to understand it, and you need to know that it's going to play a big, huge, humongous role for you in your voice AI implementation agency. All right. Now, lastly, this is the last pillar that has absolutely changed the game for me inside of this industry, and it is creating SOPs. Systems of processes, basically. If you do not have SOPs, you are not going to scale as fast as you think you are. You want to make sure that whenever you get a client, you're able to deliver in the span of a week to 2 weeks maximum. And these are hard builds that if you make from scratch every single time, it's obviously going to get a little harder, but you want to make an SOP for an automation, a prompt, an API call, and all these things, so that eventually whenever you do get a client, you could use the templates that get you to an extent, and then you personalize it from that extent for the client, so that way it's personalized to them and their company. Okay. But it saves you weeks, months sometimes on end by just having an SOP in place for that specific client. All right. Now, not only that, you could have SOPs for your own team. So for example, if you want to teach your new developer that just got hired last Tuesday how to create a voice AI for this specific client, you can have SOPs that teach that developer how to do so. And not only that, you can teach the person with SOPs how to use SOPs, and then now they're basically SOP masters at the end of the day, that are capable of doing the exact same thing that you do because you created it, right? You are the person that created the SOPs. Okay. So just please do keep that in mind. It is going to play such a huge role for you. And I started implementing SOPs 6 months ago, but the 6 months before those 6 months, they were not the easiest. They were super time consuming. The build outs for clients took way too long. It just didn't make sense for me until I created these processes. Now, that's it for the 5 pillars. Obviously, you can take this with a grain of salt. This is just from my experience. Not everything here that I've said is set in stone. Things may change for me later on in the future, but so on and so forth. This is basically what works for me right now. All I'm asking you guys to do as well is make sure that you join up in the community. The community that I have will teach you everything that you need to know about voice AI. This is basically one of the best things that you could do. This community is entirely free. And not only that, I have an academy that you guys could use, so that way you're able to learn from the free course course or learn from the paid course inside of the academy. However it is, you will learn by joining up in the community. I have snapshots, I have everything you need, and of course you will have me as well. So message me, you'll have my entire support on there. I help with Synthflow, I help with GoHighLevel. Make sure to join, and obviously please subscribe down below. It helps out a lot, and I want to make sure that I keep bringing super good content for you guys at the end of the day, and by subscribing it helps me do so. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.